Good day, this is the African News broadcast from Canada. My name is Sandra Asante. Top stories. Ethiopia's dehumanizing words worry USA chief. UN food arrives in Tigray but more needed. Sudan's Hamdok to immediate Tigray conflict. There's many more stories coming up after the break. Stay tuned. You're welcome back from the break to a very first story. The head of the U.S. Agency for International Development says she has raised concerns with the Ethiopian authorities about the danger of using language that could incite ethnic violence. Samantha Power said dehumanizing language only hardens tensions and often accompanies ethnically motivated atrocities. She spoke on her visit to Ethiopia, where aid agencies are struggling to reach the million of victims of the war in the northern Tigray region. Ethiopian officials had been accused of using disparaging language against Tigrayans. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed was criticized recently for referring to the leadership of the Tigray People's Liberation Front, the TPLF, as a conqueror and weeds that needed to be uprooted. Officials have defended the comment, saying he was not referring to the Tigrayan people. The conflict in Tigray has been marked by reports of massacres and sexual violence. Human rights groups have also warned against the arbitrary detention of Tigrayans elsewhere in the country. But Mr. Abiy's government insists it is championing a united Ethiopian that is not based on ethnicity. Still in Tigray, more than 150 lorries carrying humanitarian aid have arrived in Ethiopia's conflict-hit northern Tigray region. Millions are in need of assistance there, according to the UN estimates. The UN World Food Programme said 175 lorries carrying supplies had made it into Tigray. Its executive director, David Beasley, tweeted that while this was a great progress, more than 100 lorries were needed every day for the population who were in dire need. The Ethiopian government confirmed the arrival of the food aid and other items transported by the WFP and other UN agencies. It came as Ethiopia announced the suspension operational permit of 3 aid agencies, accusing them of administrative violations and engaging in activities outside their mandate. We move to Sudan now, and Sudan is preparing to launch a mediation between Ethiopian government and the Tigray People's Liberation Front (TPLF) with the support of international community. The Sudan Tribune learned that Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok is in contact with the Ethiopian government and the TPLF leaders to bring the two parties to the negotiating table to discuss a peaceful solution and allow humanitarian aid to civilians. Hamdok also informed of his initiative heads of the East African Bloc, IGAD, Eritrea, and a number of friendly Western countries, including France and the United States of America. Sudan is increasingly concerned about the 9-month-long escalating conflict in Ethiopia as the war zone in the Tigray and Amhara region border the country and refugees continue pouring into Sudan. Officials in Khartoum further said that this conflict might ignite other hotspots in the multi-ethnic country, pointing to the western Banishangwa Gomez region, which is also bothering the Sudan, as was the case in December 2020. U.S. aid head Samantha Power on Tuesday said they support the Sudanese initiative to resolve the Tigray conflict. We want to support Sudan's transformation from a source of instability to a partner in resolving the challenges of a volatile region, most urgent by working together to address the conflict of Ethiopia, to which there is no military solution, Power said in a lecture at the University of Khartoum. On the 31st of July, French President Emmanuel Macron spoke with Hamdok and Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, where he expressed his concerns about the continuing fighting in the country and called to allow unfettered humanitarian access to the needy. The president also stressed that the development of the situation required a negotiation of a break in hostilities and the opening of political dialogue between the belligerents with respect for integrity and unity for Ethiopia, reads a statement released by the French presidency. For his part, U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken discussed Wednesday with Hamdok the expansion of fighting in the Amhara and Afar regions in Ethiopia and the need for a negotiated solution. Our final story in Sudan, and the families of the victims of the revolution and the ousted regime demonstrated in Khartoum on Wednesday, demanding to purge the government, institution and the judiciary from the supporters of the ousted regime 2 years after the change. The families of the martyrs of the 28th Ramadan and the bloody raid of 3rd June 2019 and other civil groups organized a sit-in outside the Republican Palace and another one in front of the headquarters of the Empowerment Removal Committee, calling to purge the public prosecution and the judiciary from the supporters of the Bashir regime. The protesters said the supporters of the former regime are still obstructing justice in the country, pointing to the Attorney General designated, whom explicitly refused to allow foreign experts to examine the remains of the 28 officers killed in 1990. The experts were hired by the U.S. aid upon the request of the Sudanese government. The newly appointed Attorney General, who was appointed by the Deputy Chairman of the Sovereign Council, has been close to al-Bashir in the past. The conditions of his appointment are unclear, as he was appointed during the visit by al-Bahan to France last May. The protesters said the public prosecutor had ordered to send the remains of the officers of the UAE for forensic autopsy in order to obscure the fact. The organizers of the protest demanded in memos delivered to the Sovereign Council and the Empowerment Removal Committee an end to the assignment of interim Attorney General Mubarak Mahmoud and the reform of the judicial apparatus. Speaking to the protesters at the premises of the Empowerment Removal Committee, Wajid Sali, a member of the committee, stressed clear that they would continue their duties to clear the state apparatus of the elements of the former regime until the end of the transitional period. Saleh added that the dismantling would include all state facilities and institutions without exception, including the public prosecution and the judiciary. For his part, Mohammed Al-Faqih, the head of the committee and member of the Sovereign Council, admitted in his remarks to the protesters that the remnant of the regime are still present in the state apparatus. He further pledged to remove them. Al-Faqih vowed to submit their demands to the Sovereign Council, stressing they are worthy of the desperations. Al-Faqih vowed to submit their demands to the Sovereign Council, stressing that they are worthy of considerations. Thank you so much for watching today's African News, a broadcast from Canada. Thank you. My name is Sandra Asante.